roaring, there's whistling, there's hooting, there's everything going on. Fossa. David Clifford now. Finding Sam Buckley. David Clifford, his jersey pulled. It's going in, you know. That's in, you know. The level. They're all square. 21 points. Well, who else would you want to get the ball? But no other player could have scored that. What a score by David Clifford. We're all square, and I think that's it.
13 points from David Clifford today, and what a score.
That was the pick of them. Yeah.
Clutch.
An absolutely extraordinary moment right at the death for David Clifford against Austin Stacks in the Kerry Intermediate Football Championship semi-finals. Incredible. It seems like every week we have to speak about David Clifford and his brilliance. And there's always something, isn't there? There's always something. But there's always something because he keeps producing. He keeps showing what he is made of. And he keeps showing why he is one of the all-time greats. There's no question about it. And look, when it's all said and done, he will be one of the all-time greats. Obviously, he's still a young footballer. He's only been on the scene the last 4 or 5 years. But there's no question about it. He, for me already right now, is one of the all-time greats. And that was a late score in the closing stages of the Kerry Intermediate Football Championship semi-finals in extra time. The game was sent to penalties. Fossa then went on to win the penalty shootout. And an extraordinary game from Fossa. And an extraordinary win for Fossa because, like Austin Stacks 2 years ago, were Kerry County champions and Kerry Club Senior Football champions. And they also went on to reach the Munster Provincial Club final as well. You'll remember they got beat by St. Finbarrs only by a single point. And it's quite remarkable. Like that same season, Fossa were beaten in a preliminary junior championship quarter-final. And to think these two sides have incredibly met on the same day 2 years later, and Fossa is the side who comes out on top. Austin Stacks are one of the favourites, not just for the Kerry Intermediate Football Championship, but also for the All-Ireland because of the fact that, look, obviously 2 years ago, they were in the Munster Club final. Their team hasn't changed too much from then, from what I believe, and quite remarkable that Fossa have been able to do this. Obviously, winning the junior championship last year, coming up to intermediate and producing a remarkable victory. And what would, like, when you seen it, you were just thinking it had to be Clifford. It just had to be. And it's getting to the point now where it isn't even that big of a surprise, really, when you think about it. Quite incredible, quite remarkable, and just, yeah, an absolute moment of brilliance to land Fossa, the Kerry Intermediate Football Championship semi-final victory. And they go on now to the final. And to win junior and intermediate back-to-back, I can't remember the last time that's been done, if ever. Quite remarkable, really. What's the story, everyone? Welcome back to Gaelic Games Fan TV. This is the Club Championship Review Show. We're going to be looking at all the big talking points, all the big moments from various club championships up and down the country. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And yeah, if you could subscribe, that'd be absolutely brilliant. Hit the like button. Lets me know how many people are watching, which is absolutely brilliant. And obviously lets me know that you lads are enjoying the content around here. So Joe Brawley says Fossa a point down in extra time via Austin Stacks. 30 seconds to go. David Clifford goes looking for the ball. Lights, camera, action. Absolutely true. And it's just, you know, he is the definition of a clutch player. I know some people will be quick to say, well, look, listen, in the big moments in the All-Ireland football final, he missed those big chances. At the end of the day, everyone's human. Everyone misses chances. But I would say 90% of the time, David Clifford does deliver in big moments. And that was just probably one of those anomalies, you know, that can sometimes happen. Will O'Callaghan says, second most impressive David Clifford moment this week. Yeah, it's remarkable how much he's still in the headlines. And yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how far this Fossa story can go. Like, can they win the intermediate championship? Can they then go and win the intermediate All-Ireland? Do you know? And then if they're in the senior championship next year, how far could they go in that? Like, it really is remarkable, isn't it? Because I think I remember seeing a couple of years ago when you were seeing David Clifford win the county senior football championship with East Kerry. You were thinking, well, at least Clifford will have his moment, because obviously Fossa are a junior club. Will Fossa ever be up there in the senior championship? Like, you wouldn't have ruled it out given the players that they had, but you always thought it's going to be tough for them. But wow, they're one win away now from being in the senior championship next year. And who knows how open that senior championship is. And we will get on to Dingle's win, obviously, as well, winning the Kerry Club Senior Football Championship, beating Kenmare Shamrocks. We'll get onto that a little bit later. Tim Moynihan says some game that had everything, penalties decided matters. Austin Sachs made Fossa work all the way. Outstanding performances on both sides. The leveller by David Clifford was one of the greatest moments, or one of the great moments in club football. Shane O'Sullivan, outstanding in the shootout. Yeah, made a couple of big saves, obviously, in the shootout for Fossa. And certainly that game in particular had absolutely everything. And big up to Clubber TV as well. Obviously, a lot of these clips are from Clubber TV, so big up to them. Great service, obviously, and you get to watch a whole host of club championship games in the highest of qualities as well. So big up to them. But yeah, quite remarkable. Cora Staunton says, my weekly tweet, David Clifford, simply outrageous. What a score to level the game. Kieran Deely says, David Clifford doing David Clifford things again. When people downplay his greatness, talk about it being too early to call, how other current players are just as good, etc. It reminds me of the conversations that used to go on about a young Lionel Messi. Yeah, look, I mean, he's definitely in the conversation as one of the greatest of all time. I do think trophies and All-Ireland wins matter. And I think doing it in the biggest moments, I think, is what separates the absolute greatest. And I think for David Clifford, look, I think with the age profile of that Kerry side, with the fact that for me, there isn't, in Gaelic football right now, for us to look at a county level, there is no dominant force out there. Like, I don't think you can say Dublin are the same dominant force as they were a couple of years ago. The underage doesn't quite seem to be the same. And obviously, when we won that All-Ireland last year, or this year, quite earlier in the year, it was a much older team. You're looking at Mayo, Galway, Armagh, Derry. Like, these teams are going to be thereabouts. But Kerry, for me, are still primed to be the dominant force in this decade. And I think David Clifford will win at least 3-4 All-Irelands, possibly more by the time he finishes. And then we can definitively say he is the greatest of all time. Because for me, when we look at someone like Lionel Messi, it wasn't just that Messi was scoring, outrageous goals all the time. And, I think he scored 70 in one season once, which was just absolutely mental. But he was doing it in the biggest games, in the biggest moments. And that's, for me, what separates the absolute greats from, great players. And you're talking about, the smallest of margins that separates the very, very best. But David Clifford is, he's more than on his way to doing that. And the fact he keeps doing this, is only going to help his cause. And the McGrearty says that might be the best point I've ever seen. David Clifford was 13th, and what a remarkable score to keep your club in the championship. He had 13 points in total, 10 points from play, as you'll see there from John Kelly. An outrageous score to level a Paddy, unbelievable again too. And Adam Moynihan says here, unbelievable. Fossa are through to the final of the Kerry Intermediate Championship. Hard to explain to an outsider how crazy it is for Fossa to be 13-time senior champions. Austin Stacks, unthinkable. It is, and yeah, like when you kind of put it that way, it is mental. Like, I suppose the comparison, maybe if I was to think of here in Dublin, would be, in 4 or 5 years, if Kilmacud Crokes got relegated and then got beat by a side who's in the junior club championship right now. Do you know that way? It probably is quite hard for people to comprehend, and mental. But it goes to show, look, and I think, as we'll obviously look at Fossa, and we'll look at David Clifford, we'll look at Paddy Clifford, but I haven't probably watched as much Fossa. I watched this game, but I haven't watched enough of them. But look, there's other players in that Fossa team that are pulling their weight. And I think there's other players as well who do deserve a lot of credit. Shane O'Sullivan, obviously, as we mentioned before. So, I think David Clifford obviously deserves a huge amount of the credit, but I think Fossa are building something. They are building something. And as I said, the senior championship in Kerry is so competitive, but especially looking at Dingle winning it this year, Kerrins O'Rahilly's winning it last year. Dr. Crokes are not the same force as what they were a couple of years ago. Austin Sachs won't be in the senior championship next year. So who's to say Fossa can't, if they win the intermediate championship, who's to say they can't go on and compete for the senior championship? And has a team ever won junior, intermediate, and senior 3 years in a row? I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but it could happen. And that would be one of the greatest club stories of all time, in my opinion. Yeah, some incredible scenes as Dingle win the Kerry Club Senior Football Championship. We were saying it earlier, remarkable. Our good friend, Gaelic Statsman, who said Dingle are Kerry Club champions. Dingle beat Kerry Shamrocks this evening after a winning point from Dylan Gainey. They will represent Kerry in the Munster Club Senior Football Championship if a divisional side ex-East Kerry. Example, East Kerry win the Kerry Senior Football Championship. Can Dingle win an All-Ireland? That's that's quite the question right there. And you'll see the scores: Dylan Gainey with 1-3, Paul Gainey with 3 points, Conor Gainey with 3 points, a trio of Gaineys all getting on the score sheet. Don't know if that's ever happened before. If a team has won a county title with just one surname getting on the score sheet, if that makes sense. Ken Mayer, Sean O'Shea with 9 points, and Stephen O'Brien with 2 points. So Dingle just about getting over the line versus Ken Mayer. Shamrocks, and yeah, I think I predicted them to win it as well in my predicting every club senior football championship. So maybe a rare win for me right there, but there we go. And yeah, I think after, to be fair, and I think when you looked at it last season, they had a huge amount of momentum in the county championship. If you remember, they got to the final. They were essentially minutes away from winning that county championship. East Kerry obviously beat them right at the death with a late Paul Murphy point to turn the game around and win it late on. And Dingle, I think in most people's eyes, were the best team in Kerry because Kerrans O'Rahilly's were very poor in the club or very poor in the county championship, having won the club championship earlier in the year. But to be fair to Kerrans O'Rahilly's, they did go on and reach an All-Ireland semi-final and were actually quite good in that game versus Kilmacud Crokes. But yeah, and look, they've carried that momentum into this year and they have capitalized on it. And hopefully for their sake, they are the side that goes on and represents Kerry in the Munster Club Senior Football Championship. Obviously, it'd be interesting to see what happens. They're actually playing this weekend, I think, on TG Cahir as well in the County Championship. So that'll be interesting to see. But yeah, remarkable day from a Dingle perspective. And for Kenmare Shamrocks, disappointing. It's I remember they lost in the final a couple of years ago as well. They're very close, aren't they? I just think Sean O'Shea and Stephen O'Brien, you're seeing the two scorers there. Do they have enough outside of them two? That would be the big question. But certainly for Kenmare, they'll be hoping. They'll obviously go into the county championship, I believe, as well, and they'll be hoping to come close and possibly win that. But remarkable stuff from a Dingle perspective.
Burke, they've got a free man in behind. However, the Fianna allowed that to happen. Burke continues his run. He wants it back. The shot's coming from cornerback Shane O'Leary. Shane O'Leary delivers. Is that the winner?
An extraordinary finish you've seen right there in the Dublin Senior Football Championship as St. Vincent's beating a Fianna late on with the last kick of the game from Shane O'Leary. Crazy finish in the end. The Fianna had led at half-time by 4 points. They looked to be in control. St. Vincent's battled back and the lead exchanged a couple of times late on. But yeah, the Fianna obviously beaten in the Dublin Senior Football Championship final last year to Kilmacud Crokes. They were coming into this year's championship certainly as one of the favourites. Look, they had a lot of injuries coming into this game. Conor McHugh, top scorer in the Dublin Championship last year. He was missing. Owen Merchant, Johnny Cooper, all injured as well. So the Fianna have had a lot of injuries actually coming into this game, and that probably does explain why they lost 2 out of their 3 matches in the group. But an extraordinary win for St. Vincent's, who, let's not forget, were in the Senior 2 Championship last year. They did, in fact, win that championship, but an extraordinary win. Cian Dunn was very impressive, I felt. 9 points in total from him. And the Fianna battled hard with the likes of Conor early, getting on the score sheet as well late on. But yeah, what a result. What a story for St. Vincent's, and they will go into the quarterfinals of the Dublin Club Championship. And speaking of the quarterfinals, let's have a look at the draw. Well, actually, what we'll do first of all is we'll have a look at the results from the final round of the group matches, and watched a couple of the games. Obviously, a lot of these games on Dublin GA's YouTube channel. Ballymunkickum's got a much-needed win against Ballantyre St. John's, as you'll see there, 112 to 11 points. Much-needed win there for Ballymunkickum's, and they'll be playing Kilmacud Crokes as well in the quarterfinals. So what a draw that's going to be. Ballyboden St. Enda's, they've been my pick since the beginning of the Dublin Club Championship, and they have been in absolutely flying form. You've got the Basquels doing the business in there as well. 3-17 versus Temple Oak, so an absolute domination of a win for Ballyboden in a game where they didn't necessarily need to win either. Skerry's Harps versus Kilmacud Crokes was a very fascinating game. Crokes looked fairly comfortable throughout, but Skerry's Harps pulled a back late on and definitely made a bit of a game out of it. Couple of late chances, potentially grab a late goal. Shane Walsh on the score sheet with 7 points. Paul Mannion with 5 points as well. But Crokes more than do enough to put themselves through. And they certainly, although I think Ballyboden will win it, I think Crokes will still be the favourites in most people's eyes. Big win for Castleknock as well, 112 to 110 versus St. Sylvester's. Coola with a huge win against Thomas Davis. Thomas Davis had won their opening 2 matches. And Raheny with 7 goals past Lucan Sarsfield, 7-15 to 2-6. It's looking like Raheny might have a bit more this year than just the likes of Brian Fenton and Brian Howard, because that has been the criticism of Raheny in the last couple of years. And as we said, St. Vincent's beating Fianna 116 to 18 points, and St. Jude's are in the quarterfinals as well after they beat Whitehall 112 to 1-9. And this is the quarterfinal draw. I think we will do a preview for this maybe next week, but some absolutely cracking games in here. Ballyboden St. Enda's versus Castleknock is going to be a huge game. But how about this one? Kilmacud Crokes versus Ballymunkickum's. You're going to have James McCarthy, Dean Rock, Shane Walsh, Paul Mannion all on the pitch, hopefully, if anyone isn't, if there's no injuries or anything like that. So what a cracking game this is going to be set to be. Ballymunkickum's have struggled usually a lot of the time in the Dublin Club Championship because of the fact that they've so many county players missing. But they've looked all right at times this year, and this could be a real humdinger of a game, and very much looking forward to it. Raheny versus Vincent's, as I said, Raheny, they're strong dark horses in my opinion. I think Vincent's as well. Either one of them two who come through that could be a real banana skin for one of the big boys in the semi-finals. And St. Jude's versus Coola as well. Coola have definitely gone under the radar. They were very good last season, I remember, against Crokes. And they've hugely gone under the radar. Jude's obviously as well tend to be there or thereabouts. So very, very interesting stuff there in the Dublin Club Football Championship. And certainly we will break down those quarterfinals in more detail next week.
Yeah, agus mai contour an count sin right just Pokemon fadan son agus Mike Manny better I just take course soon to go on count agus Peter Hogan well time she on the road agus Derek Stockedy and Cunha and you'd have any chance like Sean O'Brien or the Unification dan I count take Peter Hogan and count son ni Nevin you'd have any other Naganach Duldon cool.
An extraordinary win there for Ballygunner. They become the first Waterford club to complete 10 in a row. 53 games they have been unbeaten in the county. And Ballygunner are just an absolute force, aren't they, in Waterford? Like, they're not just winning county championships, they're winning them with ease. I mean, they beat De La Salle 226 to 21 points. Desi Hutchinson, extraordinary once again. Patrick Fitzgerald, Peter Hogan. I mean, they have so much talent from 1 to 15. This Ballygunner side, and they have to be one of the front runners alongside the likes of Ballyhale Shamrocks for the All-Ireland. Just absolutely extraordinary. And you do wonder, like, when will a side beat Ballygunner in Waterford? Because they are just so dominant at the moment. And some of the hurling they play is just brilliant. Like the short game, the short passes, the flicks off the wrist. An extraordinary way of playing. And you just wonder, Waterford really should try and adopt a similar style, in my opinion, going into next season. But will Davey do that? I don't know. But an extraordinary performance from Ballygunner, and like 10 in a row, extraordinary. Like, how many could they win? And for Waterford fans, let me know. Like, how far could this Ballygunner team go? 10 in a row, could it be 11, 12, possibly more? Because when you look at the likes of Patrick Fitzgerald and some other players, they don't seem to be slowing down. They don't seem to be slowing down, and they certainly don't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon. So, remarkable stuff there from a Ballygunner perspective. Elsewhere around the country, just looking at some other big stories across club championships. Road were knocked out in Offaly. That was obviously a big defeat for them. They were the reigning Offaly Senior Football champions. And Ballyer were beaten as well in Clare. So they've been gone. And looking at some of the sides who are left in the Clare Championship, that could definitely be wide open. But do let me know in the comments down below any club championship stories or any big games that you were surprised with, any games you went to over the weekend. Do let me know. Very excited for the Dublin Club Championship quarterfinals. It's really getting into the nitty gritty. Kilmacud Crokes versus Ballymun. That is going to be one absolute cracker of a game. But leave a like button. Leave a like button. What am I saying? Leave a like, subscribe, all that crack. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of some of these games. And I'll speak to you all soon.